Did you know that a magnitude 6.9 earthquake hit the famous Transamerica Pyramid in 1986? The impact of the earthquake was equivalent to 30 Hiroshima bombings, but the skyscraper remained unscathed. In today's video, we'll explore 6 megaprojects around the world that stood through the most disastrous earthquakes and tsunamis in the world's history. Taipei 101. If the famous Taipei 101 did not survive the great 2011 earthquake, the makers of the 2014 movie Lucy would have sought another skyscraper for their first scene. The 101 floors of the tower held the title of the tallest building from 2004 to 2010, but that's not the only thing that made it famous. The tower was designed to resemble a giant bamboo stick, the type that would resist earthquakes, since Taiwan is a seismically active zone. In March 2011, a magnitude 9.0 earthquake hit Japan. Strong shaking from the quake engulfed the entire Japanese set of islands with a maximum acceleration of 3 times that of gravity. A tsunami generated by the earthquake arrived at the coast, overtopping seawalls and disabling 3 nuclear reactors. The Taipei 101 was left unscathed. What did this tower have that others didn't? Beneath the observation deck of the Taipei 101, between the 87th and 92nd floors, is a giant golden ball called a wind dampener. When the earthquake strikes, the wind dampener sways like a pendulum to counterbalance earthquakes and typhoons, thereby keeping the tower safe. Forbidden City in China. Long after it was built, the Forbidden City was featured in the 2010 movie Karate Kid. It is the modern imperial palace in Beijing and consists of 70 palaces with more than 9,000 rooms. Fun fact, the structures are made entirely of wood, no nails, no concrete, and no glue. In 1976, a 7.5 magnitude earthquake collapsed 85% of the buildings in Tangshan. All services failed, and most of the highways and railway bridges were seriously damaged. How come this Chinese city withstood the earthquake? The buildings used bracket sets created by placing wooden block called a dao onto a column to form a solid brace. Another wooden bracket, gong, is inserted into the dao to support either a wooden beam or another gong. These brackets transfer the weight to the structure's vertical columns, reducing the earthquake's strain on the horizontal beams, which reduces the risk of the beam splinting or cracking. Even though this palace was built 600 years ago when architecture wasn't developed, the builders did a good job of making it earthquake resistant. Kansai International Airport. The Kansai International Airport is the world's first offshore airport built on an entirely man-made island. In 2011, Tohoku earthquake and tsunami put the airport and the architects to the test. More than 100,000 buildings were destroyed, leaving 18,000 people dead. What made the airport thick? Let's start with the fact that the airport was built on an artificial island approximately 16,000 feet from the eastern shore of Osaka Bay. One would think that the airport would sink in seconds if an earthquake hit, but the designers knew better. The building was a light structure to deal with the risk of earthquakes. As a base, 48,000 concrete tetrahedrons were laid down and then covered with earth dredged from the bay. 900 columns, 79 million pounds of ore were driven into the compacted soil to support the foundations as well. The platform rests on over 1 million support columns, 65 feet deep into the sea, and then 65 feet deep into a muddy layer before being driven an additional 131 feet into the rock below. Thanks to the architect's foreknowledge, the airport didn't sink, and, as a matter of fact, is still operating. Red Cross Hospital, Ishinomaki. The Red Cross Hospital in Ishinomaki was designed to cater to people's health problems, but little did they know a day would come when it would be the only surviving hospital in Ishinomaki. In all of Ishinomaki. Apparently, the Kansai airport wasn't the only thing that survived the Great East Japan earthquake of 2011. The Red Cross Hospital in Ishinomaki beat that pressure and stood unscathed after the 4th largest earthquake ever observed. The earthquake inundated almost half of the city, smashing and sweeping away a large section of coastal and urban areas. Still, not even a single window of the Red Cross Hospital was broken. The Ishinomaki Red Cross Hospital must have been designed to respond to disasters. What was special about this hospital? The 402-bed medical facility was built on a small hill, a strategic position that reduced the earthquake's impact. It also has foundations as deep as 200 feet. At the center of the hospital, the building rests on columns of rubber and metal springs. These springs serve as a base oscillation, thus particularly separating the building from shaking the ground and reinforcing the hospital's seismic fitness. Engineers even said that the building could withstand several more quakes of equal size. What a range. Transamerica Pyramid in San Francisco. The famous Transamerica Pyramid, a symbol of pride for the city and an undeniably characteristic part of San Francisco. It was designed in the shape of a pyramid with layer upon layer of seismic defenses. To create this complex structure, the engineers dug the site and began a protracted, continuous concrete pour to lay the foundation. In 1989, this spectacular structure was tested by the most powerful earthquake the state had experienced in several years, the magnitude 6.9 Loma Priest. It collapsed the Oakland Bay Bridge and the Pacific Garden Wall in Santa Cruz. 67 lives were lost, and more than $5 billion worth of properties were destroyed. Why did this 853 feet tower stand tall when everything else fell apart? The answer is in the foundation. The building's concrete and steel foundations were laid 52 feet into the ground and designed to move with the horizontal earthquake forces. The exterior was reinforced by rods at 4 supporting points on each level, which helps stabilize the building when it sways. More than 30 years after, the Transamerica Pyramid stands tall with no signs of an attack thanks to the foresight of the architects. Baiturrahman Mosque in Aceh. The mosque in Aceh is one of Indonesia's most sacred places. This historic grand mosque was built in 1875 and immediately became one of the most beautiful mosques in Indonesia. In 2004, a magnitude 9.1 earthquake, one of the deadliest disasters recorded in history, struck Indonesia. The earthquake and the tsunami reduced large portions of the city to wastelands of pulverized concrete and twisted metal roofing. More than 110,000 houses were swept away. Amid debris and flattened landscape, the Baiturrahman Mosque stood tall with only a slight tilt and some cracks in the minaret towering above. Many survivors believe the mosque was spared by divine intervention. But was it? Architectural experts attribute this miracle to the building's sturdy nature and foundations. The mosque was built with stones from the Netherlands in the Mughal Revival style, comprising a 115-high-foot tower, 7 domes, 8 minarets, and 32 pillars. The interior was decorated with relieved walls and pillars, with a marble staircase, while the domes were made of wood. Architects believe the stones and hardwood made the mosque earthquake-resistant. The impact only slightly damaged the brick portions of the mosque. Although the structure didn't have seismic architecture, it escaped the tsunami and became the sanctuary for hundreds of people who needed shelter. The mosque remains a lasting proof of quality design and maybe a touch of a miracle.